Hello, hello. My name is Preston Jacobs. We're talking about some Ice and Fire. And let's talk about Cersei and Margaery's trials. Um, Most people, when they think of these trials, they kind of jump to Cersei. And they kind of say, well, who is going to be Cersei's, who's going to go against Sir Robert Strong? Like, could it possibly be a trial by seven? Who would be in this trial by seven? And they go right to this event, glossing over a lot of complexity to the two trials. In fact, a lot of people don't even know who is accusing whom and what the crimes are in the trial, because a lot of things are passive voice. So people kind of go, "Oh, well, Cersei is accused of adultery." Okay, well, who is accusing her of adultery? Because it actually makes a difference. The accuser is accusing the accused of, and this goes for Margaery. This goes for the cousins. This goes for Cersei. Um, and so let's back up a bit and just review uh, how everything came to be and what the crimes are, because a lot of people actually don't even know. They kind of think that the faith is accusing Cersei of something, and that's not the case. Like, okay, so let's is my audio cut out? No. Here, I hit my mic there for a second. All right, okay, my mic sounds great. Anyway, um, so it's fine now. I just struck my mic for a second. Okay, so the let's go back. Okay, so one of the things is in this whole story sort of begins with uh, Cersei 9. Okay, Cersei 9 is where Cersei comes up with the plan to frame Margaery. And she comes up with this plan because she's talking to Pycelle. And she's like, Pycelle, you're a piece of shit. You're not loyal to me anymore. You have been hanging around with Margaery since before Loras even went off to Dragonstone, which is Cersei 7 or so, a couple months before. And why are you hanging out with Margaery? And Pycelle is all flustered, and he's like, well, she was requesting moon tea. Okay, we'll get to the issue of the moon tea. That's in fact, let's put a little pin in the moon tea, because the moon tea question is probably going to come back, right? Who the moon tea is actually for. Okay. So based on the moon tea, she then gets the idea that Margaery is committing adultery. So her first thing that she does is she brings in the Blue Bard, Wat the Blue Bard, and she begins. They seize him and then begin torturing him. And the Blue Bard is the one making the initial accusations against Margaery and a few others. And this is the what's interesting about the Blue Bard. Um, the Blue Bard never says that he had sex with Margaery. The Blue Bard says that the cousins filleted him and that she then had sex with her lovers. And he lists her lovers, and it's right here in A Feast for Crows what exactly he's saying here. All right, and this is important. I know, like, talking about like who's filleting whom is important here, but this is the thing. By dawn, the singer's high blue boots were full of blood, and he had told them how Margaery would fondle herself as she watched her cousins pleasuring him with their mouths. At other times, he would sing for her whilst she sated her lust with her other lovers. And maybe that's a little ambiguous whether Wat is having sex with her or not, actually, other lovers. Who were they, the queen demanded, the wretched Wat, named Sir Tal the Tall, Sir Lampert Turnberry, Jalbar Zoe, the Redwine Twins, Osney Kettleblack, Hugh Clifton, and the Knight of Flowers. Okay, this is, now that's, this list is interesting. So let's say we're saying that the supposed people that are getting named are, and we'll put the blue bard at the top here. Oops. Let's edit this too. All right. So it's the blue bard, Tala the Tall, Lampert Turnberry, Sir Lampert. Let's go with Jalabar, or Boy Jalabar. Red Wines, Osney, and Sir Hugh Clifton. Now, and she says actually Loris, but we're gonna, we'll that's immediately revoked. So this is her list. This is the list that that the blue bard says is sleeping with Margaery. He says that maybe, I suppose you could say that he's including himself, but then he says Tal the Tall, Lampert Turnberry, Lambert. I don't want to spell that incorrectly. Jalbar Zoe. I'm spelling Jalabar wrong too, man. These are the important things. Jalabhar Zoe. The red wines, Osney, Sir Hugh. Now, at this point, so these are the people that the blue bard is accusing of having sex with Margaery. And he's also accusing the cousins of filleting him. And when he says the cousins, he's saying Eleanor and Mega. Because right after this, Cersei's like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? The Redwine twins weren't part of that. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. And then the Alla, oh, actually, does he even, that's the important thing, is Alla and whether or not she is getting accused. So, yeah. No, the blue bard implicates Alla too. So, but it's kind of interesting that his story, if they're only filleting him, the moon tea must be for Margaery, because he's actually saying that he's not having sex with the cousins in that situation, right? Now, it's only later on that they come up with the idea that Alla is actually the one that only watched. But I don't know if that's not actually communicated to the blue bard. And then she tells him that the red wines aren't part of it, which is also interesting. Because what happens later, and it's easiest to search for Jalabar Zoe here. Is that she goes to Osney and she's like, okay, Osney, you confess to sleeping with Margaery. Because she doesn't think that I'm not explaining this well. So the blue bard is the one that implicates himself, Talad, Lampert, Jalabar Zoe, Red Wines, Osney, and Hugh. Then Eleanor, Mega, and Alla sleeping with him. But Cersei doesn't think that that's going to be good enough. So she wants a little more. And so Taina says that she's going to try to turn Alla. They think that torturing the guys might turn Jalabar Zoe. And she has Osney, who is going to confess. So the hope is that the blue bard by himself is probably not going to be good enough. But if she can get either Jalabar Zoe, Alla, or Osney, and really they're focusing on Osney here, then everything will be fine. Now, then she goes and she arrests people. Cersei has a bunch of people arrested. And the arrest list is here. I've highlighted this. Sir Tal the Tall, Hamish the Harper, Hugh Clifton, Mark Mullador, Baynard Norcross, Lampert Turnberry, Horace Redwine, Hobber Redwine, and a certain Charles Watt of the Blue Bard. Now, I'd like to say that out of freaking nowhere, we suddenly have Hamish the Harper, Mark Mullendor, and Bayard Norcross, which is really curious. And actually, I would say this is the funny thing here. Okay, she's arresting the red wines because the red wines were actually removed. She told the blue bard that the red wines weren't part of it. So they should not be on Hugh's list. They should not be on the blue bard's list. But later, Hamish the Harper, Mark Mullendor, Bayard Norcross, and the red wines are also arrested. There is no explanation for where these guys' names came from. I mean, with the red wines, you could maybe say that, oh, maybe the blue bard mentioned it, but she removed him. He specifically had those names removed, just like as he specifically removed that. So this is all. So let's put Moon Tea up here. On the left here, I have Blue Bard's story. And then in the middle, we kind of have the additional things for Cersei's arrest. And then Osney comes in, and Osney says that he had sex with the cousins except for Alla, and had sex with Margaery. So we have a totally different stories here coming from different ideas from different areas here, right? So Osney's story is that he had Eleanor, Mega, and Margaery. The Blue Bard's story is that he was filleted by all three women, all three cousins, and had sex with Margaery, as well as Talad, Lampert, Jalabar, Osney, and Hugh. But then there's this arrest of Hamish the Harper, Mark Mullendore, Barry Norcross, and the Red Wines. Now, Osney then flips his story and denies having sex with Margaery and presumably Eleanor and Mega, and switches it to having sex with the Queen, and that Cersei directed him to kill the High Septon and lie about Margaery. And then, to make things even more confusing, in between books, off page, Lancel comes in and starts accusing Cersei of things. A Feast for Crows ends with Osney's implication, like Osney's accusation being the only accusation. And A Dance with Dragons begins with Cersei suddenly facing two accusers, Osney and Lancel. So, very confusing, this whole thing, right? So getting this straight, going into the actual trial, okay? Cersei faces an accusation from Osney that she killed the High Septon and directed him to lie. Okay. The sex stuff is now done. All right. She already did her walk of shame, so we don't have to worry about the sex. Okay. I assume that the Osney stuff about Margaery has been retracted, but from Lancel, she has killed the king. Okay. So these are the two things. These are what Cersei is facing. Osney's accusation that she directed him to kill the High Septon, and that she directed him to lie, and Lancel directing him to kill the king. Meanwhile, the Blue Bard's accusation is still on the table. Okay? He's still claiming that this is on Margaery. Margaery just faces that she had sex with the Blue Bard, Talad, Lampert, Jalabar. And then Eleanor, Mega, and Alla face the accusation that they were filleting the Blue Bard and were part of conspiracy, though Alla wasn't arrested. So, and then these guys, by the way, in A Dance with Dragons, the Red Wines are mysteriously released, probably because they were never part of the Blue Bard's story, but they were arrested. But I don't know why Hamish the Harper's dead, but I don't know why Mark Mullendore and Bayard Norcross would not be released. There's no one accusing Mark Mullendore or Bayard Norcross of anything, and yet they were arrested and they have not been released. So, all of that is like confusing. So let's because I don't think I've explained this very well. Let's try to at least Cersei's accusers. All right. So Cersei's accusers are Osney and Lancel. Meanwhile, Margaery's accusers is simply the Blue Bard. There's no one left of sleeping with these guys. Eleanor, Mega, and Alla's accusers. I mean, Alla was never arrested, right? Or was she? I have to check on that. I think Alla was arrested. Yeah, Alla was arrested. So Alla is also faces the accuser of the Blue Bard. And I guess all of these guys in jail would face accusers as well. I mean, what's curious is that, Margaery's situation is one where a trial by 7 would be more appropriate because you have all of these guys who are innocent, many of them are knights or fighters who could possibly fight. And they're just like, well, you've been accused of sleeping with a princess, a queen, so therefore you should all fight. It doesn't quite work out because I think she arrests 10 and then they release the red wines and then Hamish the Harper dies. So you are left with 7 adulterers, right? But the problem is that Osney is one of them. So you'd have would you have a trial by 7 where you could have Osney, Hugh, Jalabar, Lampard, Blue Bard, Talid? Who am I missing on this list? Talid, Jalabar, Hamish. Oh yeah. This is who I forgot to put. Hamish is on the list. So 4 guys. Wait, 5 guys over here. Yeah. It gets confusing here. Now, let's go to the simple, what I think is going to happen here. Okay, so Cersei, she's got Sir Robert Strong, and her accusers are Osney and Lancel. Lancel is one of the most, he's part of their holy order. God damn it, I forgot the name. But it seems likely that he would be the one to face Sir Robert Strong on the charge of trying to kill the king. I don't know if they'd send Osney in too, or if they'd send would Osney have to fight? Would they both? Would one fight, get killed immediately, and then the other guy retract? And that's what's kind of interesting, because say Lancel goes in and immediately is killed by Sir Robert Strong. And then Osney is like, I don't want to fight Warrior Sons, right? So Lancel's part of the Warrior Sons. So say Lancel goes in like an idiot and faces Sir Robert Strong and gets killed. And then Osney is like, shit, I don't want to face Sir Robert Strong. I retract my accusation against Cersei. But the problem is if he retracts his accusation that she directed him to lie, now she's saying that Osney is telling the truth. And so now Osney is saying that he did sleep with Margaery. Now, that by itself might not be enough, because like I say, they say in a Dance with Dragons, they say that the case against Margaery is weak because it's just the Blue Bard. The Blue Bard is the only one who's crazy. He's the only one saying anything against Margaery. Because currently, Osney is saying nothing. But if he has to retract his story for fearing that he's going to get killed by Robert Strong, even though he's going to get executed anyway, he's going to get fucking executed for killing the High Septon. Osney's dead no matter what. But Osney might look at that and be like, well, I don't want to die by getting killed by Robert Strong, I retract my accusation. And then like, oh, so you're saying that you were not directed to lie. So that means you did sleep with Margaery. So then Margaery's accused. Then that adds to the Blue Bard story. And then the secret weapon here is Jalabar Zoe, who Cersei thinks would turn, though he hasn't turned in A Dance with Dragons. Kevin says that all of the men denied the accusations. So Qyburn either didn't get to them or they were resistant to Qyburn's tortures. But the big thing is Alla. There's definitely a Chekhov's gun with Alla. And I bring this up because it's fairly detailed when Taena goes on about Alla. She says it's Taena's idea to they're having a bath together, and it's Taena's idea that Alla was not part of it. And yeah, here it's Cersei 9. She says, let me bring up the quote because it's actually it's important. She says, he's fond of her cousins. It'll go hard to lose them all. All three may not be guilty, suggested Lady Mayweather. It might well be that one of them took no part. If she was shamed and sickened by the things she saw, she might be persuaded to bear witness against the others. Yes, very good, but which one is the innocent? Alla. The shy one? So she seems, but there is more of sly than shy in her. Leave her to me, my sweet. Gladly. Alone, the Blue Bard's confession would never suffice. Singers lied for a living, after all. Alla Tyrell would be of great help if Taena delivered her. Sir Osney shall confess as well. The others must be made to understand that only through confession they can earn the king's forgiveness. Jalabar Zoe would find the truth attractive. About the rest, she was less certain, but Qyburn was persuasive. So where we are in A Dance with Dragons, literally, we're in this paragraph, okay? We have the Blue Bard's confession, which we hear in A Dance with Dragons is considered weak. They say it's a weak case. Yes, the Blue Bard's confession by itself doesn't suffice. Blue Bard is crazy. He doesn't actually mean very much. Singers lied for a living. Alla Tyrell would be a great help if Taena could deliver her. Taena, though, has disappeared. Sir Osney shall confess as well, but we know that Osney is in this big pickle of lying and retracting and lying and retracting. It's very hard to prove anything through Osney. He's kind of tainted. Jalabar Zoe would find the truth attractive. It's an interesting idea, but in A Dance with Dragons, we find that none of the men have admitted to anything. So it seems that Jalabar Zoe has not gone. So about the rest, she's less certain. Yes. So the only big question mark is Alla. Now, is there anything suspicious about Alla? Yes. Alla Tyrell, and I guess we have to look at the family tree here. Okay. Alla Tyrell is in this random branch of Tyrells that George has decided to tell us about. George's detail about family trees 3 family trees are really detailed in Ice and Fire, and the rest of them are not. Okay, those family trees are the Freys, the Lannisters, and the Tyrells. So we get these random branches of Tyrells. So we find that Alla is here, and she's in the same family as like a Beesbury and a Bulwer. Now the Bulwers, by the way, were Blackfires. In case you're curious about that. Additionally, we don't. Yeah, the Beesberries, we don't know anything about them during the dance, but her relation to Bulwer is interesting. Now, Eleanor, the other one, is engaged to. This brings us back to the Moon Tea, because why I think this is important. Who was actually asking for the Moon Tea? Well, like Mega and Alla are supposed to be young, and Eleanor is a little older, and she is supposed to be flirty, and she's engaged to an Ambrose, and it doesn't seem like, if you're going with like George's like subversion of expectations, it's obviously not Mega, because Mega laughs like a dockside whore, so therefore it's not her. So it's probably Eleanor. She, either that or Margaery was getting it for like her aunt Yana Fossaway or somebody. But if it is Eleanor, because you're talking about, Alla is talking about selling out her cousins and having them perhaps get killed or imprisoned. Eleanor, if she's sliced off, that's a Tyrell connection to a. If she's killed before she can marry her Ambrose husband, that's cutting off the Tyrells from the Blackfires. Mega. I mean, she's a Meadows. House Meadows. No history. We know nothing about them. But so maybe it could be something like that. I mean, it seems like the surprise of Alla is the thing that's going to come back, unless Jalal Barzo is suddenly like, I'll help you out, and then you're going to help me take the Summer Islands, Cersei, like, or whatever he's supposed to do. But yeah, as you can see, this is more complex than you think, and like the Cersei aspect of it is actually the simplest part. It's the Margaery aspect that's incredibly complicated. But yeah, could it be that Margaery got the cousin who was close to the Mullendor? Well, it's said that she likes Mark Mullendor. Mega likes Mark Mullendor, but that's it. I mean, there's no other evidence other than the fact that like she likes him. I mean, Jane Poole liked Beric Dondarrion. I mean, they once were like arm in arm when they went out hawking or something. But it's could it be Alla and Talad? That's the thing, is if Alla's the one that's actually banging and she pins it on the others, like that's something as well. It could also be that Margaery was getting it for somebody besides the cousins. I mean, she's got Lady Crane and Yana Fossaway and people like that. There's a whole bunch of people that she could. It doesn't have to be one of the cousins. We're stuck in this idea that she was getting it for the cousins, but yeah. Now that's the whole funny thing about all of this, and there's a lot of complexity. But I also say, like, there's some obviously messy things that George did that he never explained, like why the Red Wine twins were released, but Hamish the Harper, Mark Mullendore, and Bayard Norcross were not. There's no reason that those. I mean, Hamish the Harper's dead, but there's no reason that the other two dudes wouldn't be released. Okay, there's none. Or the fact that like Lancel suddenly becomes an accuser off page in between books. I mean, there's some sloppiness with George, so it may be that like reading into all of this intricacy is just a fool's errand. But I do think that there's something interesting about like if Osney is either killed or retracts his accusation, that leads to him putting it back on his accusation of Margaery. And then the idea that we don't know what happened to Alla, that she could come back, adding legitimacy to the Blue Bard story, because no one believes the Blue Bard by himself. And that being that the Alla Chekhov's gun is just it's a little glaring. She's got to come back, right? But yeah, but that's it. I mean, a lot of this is because I was trying to plan out the next Cersei chapter, but it's and it's funny because like going through it, I'm just like, could there be a trial by 7 all of a sudden? Would that make it a little more exciting? It's doing a trial by 7 right now because the Night of the Seven Kingdoms just came out. Seems a little trite, but keep in mind that when George was writing this, the Hedge Knight was an obscure little story, and having a trial by 7 all of a sudden, would have been novel. And keep in mind that the other trial by 7 is the Faith. I mean, it's Maegor the Cruel against the Faith, and it'd be easy for the Faith for the warrior sons who are in this invented group of warriors that are there for some reason. I mean, the warrior sons were invented, and they haven't done anything in the story other than just be a thing that Lancel joined. It could be that all of these dudes choose to like fight against the warrior sons in some sort of trial by 7 for Margaery. I mean, in the Margaery sense, not in the Cersei sense. But and then there's the question is, say they declare Margaery guilty in all of this stuff. Would Randall Tarley even accept it? Randall Tarley is like, why are we even dealing with the Faith? Like, could he just come in and just kill everybody, kill all the Faith people anyway, and just be like, fuck you guys. This was stupid. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Okay, let's put this all aside for a moment. Do I get rid of all of this, or do I just dump it? This is so messy. I had hoped that I would have been able to explain it better. I mean, I hope everybody has a better grasp of everything, but it's hard. Yeah, George hadn't written a trial by 7 in nearly 10 years. It was absolutely spaced out in his mind. He set up too much not to use it. Yeah, that's the thing. Is should it be like it's not going to be like when people bring up the fans were always bringing up Cersei's trial by, and they're like, could Cersei have a trial by 7? Who would fight for it? And it's like no one is. Who would like, and they all have these like fantasy dream teams of like getting the Hound and the coming back and stuff like that, and you're just like, no, that's not going to happen. But the fact that like there were 10 men arrested and 2 are released and 1 dies. It's just one of these situations where like, well, that there's currently 7. Like at the moment in the story, even though it doesn't make sense, because again, there's no reason that Mark Mullendore should be imprisoned, and um, there's currently 7 dudes who are being accused of something. Like, it seems like there could be a trial by 7 for Margaery all of a sudden. Um, and people change. That's the thing, is you can change your mind, right? In the middle, when you think things are going poorly. Tyrion, when he thought things were going so poorly for him in his regular trial, demanded the trial by combat. So you think that like Margaery could probably do the same if she thinks things are heading really in a bad direction, that she could suddenly demand a trial by combat, and then the 7 men could fight. But it's not a very, I mean, and of course, like Tal the Tall, Duncan the Tall. Like like George is clearly thinking about Duncan the Tall when he has Tal the Tall as a character, but it's a shitty collection of men. Like Mark Mullendore has 1 fucking arm, and like Blue Bard is not a fighter, and he's been tortured besides. Like the rest of the guys might be okay. Man, oh, I don't know. A trial by 7? Is that the way you go? Because I was thinking about planning like the Cersei chapter, and I was like, how do you have a climax with somebody just like bashing one person in and it being the end of it? Like, the more exciting thing, the action in a Cersei chapter dealing with the trials is more on Margaery. Like the Margaery situation is much more exciting because you're talking about all these different testimonies and surprise people coming in. Cersei is just over and done. And you can have a trial by 7. Oh God. Once the Blue Bard put his accusations into paper, he added Mark Mullendore. He wasn't in the room when Cersei wrote the arrest warrant. And and like, we're given the story that he has, and if we're to assume that like his written confession, like the disparity between the arrests and his confession is the reason that the red wines are released, why isn't Mark Mullendore and Turnberry released too? Do they have to fight for themselves? You're right that Mullendore should be able to name a champion. Yeah, no, any cripple, any disabled person, at least in history, a disabled person is allowed to have someone fight in their stead if they can find someone to fight in their stead. The same with the Blue Bard. I mean, he's not a Jalbar Zoe. I don't know. Would you have to knight the guy? Does he get the same rights? Knighting Sir Jalbar Zoe? Like, do you? Anyway, let's get to a few questions here. Just realized Robert Strong and Lady Stoneheart work well as a narrative tool to get the Southern Knights to believe in the undead without having to go north. This is like to deal with the white hunt, So in the show, to get everyone to sort of accept that the undead exist, like you have the white hunt, right? Could you? But that would take a long time, right? It would take a long time to bring someone all the way back. And they tried it in the books. Alistair Thorne does travel to King's Landing with a hand and it rots. And he's like, well, I got this hand. And so presumably if you did the same thing, if you had a white, he might rot too. Well, I guess it's not. It's not war. It's not actually. It wouldn't because it's cold now. It's winter now. So what it would be more effective now to bring him back. But still, it's a a white hunt would be a tougher pull. Maybe someone like Davos can collect one at Eastwatch and bring him down or something. Um, that might be interesting. But would they recognize that like Robert Strong and Lady Stoneheart are undead? And is Robert Strong even undead? Like he might just be a dude who has a poisoned kidney, and they keep having to give him transfusions in order for him to stay alive. Um, Jamie lost his fake hand for good because if he did, it'd be interesting if in the next chapter he realized that his daydream of golden hand was was just is gone, and it was stripped of his golden knight persona. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no. So what Gail Cruz here is talking about is in the latest Jamie fanfic chapter. Jamie runs off away from the Brotherhood without banners, and he's running off without um, his golden hand. And there's actually an issue as well as of whether or not Brienne would have been able to collect Oathkeeper. So I think maybe both of those are currently lost with the Brotherhood without banners. Because I had her escape, but would she really be able to like escape and get Oathkeeper? Like that's going to be off in some, you know, alcove that she doesn't know about. Um, so her getting a hold of it is an issue. So I think that that Jamie has lost. I think the Brotherhood has the sword and the hand. But yeah, the we will. Well, I mean, I'll talk about it a little more in the going out over. But another thing with Jamie is one of the editors showed me that reminded me that Jamie running off naked is very similar to Daenerys's vision from the House of the Undying, where she has a naked guy being dragged by a horse. And so he's like, if Brienne is riding and she has to save Jamie, because how else is Jamie going to survive unless Brienne doesn't save him here? He might get dragged by the horse and fulfill that vision. But it got to this point where I was just like, I knew that I wanted Jamie to catch on fire, and then all of a sudden he's naked, and then it's just funny that he's Jamie is buck naked, running off into the snow. It kind of came organically because at first it's okay, I wanted the werewood door to drink his blood, so they took his boots. Okay, so now he didn't have any boots, and we wanted him to start on fire. Well, that means he's going to strip off his clothes. Well, now he's naked, and they're gonna take his hand. They're gonna. It would have just been embarrassing to hang the Kingslayer naked, and then he runs off into the woods. Anyway, so. Tal the Tall is definitely sleeping with Alla. So Alla, we see Eleanor chatting with Araine Waters once. I mean, obviously, anybody can be sleeping with anybody, but Alla is young, and we don't see her with anybody. It's really just Eleanor. Eleanor is a little older, and we see her drinking with Araine Waters. So it could, it's probably Eleanor who is, but it could be, like I say, anybody else. It might be Alla, but I'm saying it's funny. I was searching the internet looking for answers, and then I was the only answers I saw were old posts I made from 7 years ago, and I'm oh, this is a really good post. Oh, it's me. Okay, plans for the Kingswood Vale clans. Maybe they ally with John Khan through Braun and Varys. It's too spoilery to answer. Unrelated. Top 5. A Song of Ice and Fire. Glup Shittos. Oh my god. Top 5 Glup Shittos. There's so many Glup Shittos. Okay. The I'll try to figure out. I don't want to, have them be forgotten. But at the same time, I don't think they're that significant. So, I mean, I may have just a random line of them being killed off by by Aegon marching north, or something, or them joining Aegon's army or something. Something random like that. Like, I don't want them gone, but we need to kind of roll everything up, and they're there, but how important are they? So I'd probably have them either like captured or killed or joining Aegon as he marches north. That's the other thing with planning this chapter, is it's with the Cersei chapter, which I've been putting a lot of thought into. It's this huge rearranging of deck chairs, like on the Titanic. Like, Aegon is on the fucking march. Like, what are they fucking doing? And so, yeah, all of them are like, what are they doing? Like, wasting their time on this bullshit when Aegon is coming. Aegon is coming. Like, why are you doing this shit? And so it's just it's hilarious. So yeah, no, I mean, they're either going to be killed, captured, or join Aegon is what's going to happen to the Kingswood Vale clans. And the Glup Shittos, fuck. I mean, I don't know if I can do 5, but I mean, like, some of the work, like, these are like, those are the ones where it's just like somebody like George just came up with the name like randomly. I mean, I think like some of the ones that like George put no time into is like other shit, Dick Bean is a horrible one where you're just like, wow, you weren't even trying, George. Like, Dick Bean, okay, great. Like, other shit, like, okay. I'm trying to think of like all the people that are part of the Windblown. There must be some good named characters in there. Mirio Maracus. It's like it's like you had Sirio. You're like, well, how about Mirio? Okay. Well, he can't be Bravosi, so let's make him Pantashi, like Dick Straw, like great. Like, I don't know. I mean, Allar Deem. Was Lady Stoneheart's Young Ones reference intentional in the fanfic? I don't think so. People point out a few like various lines that appear in the fanfic, and I sometimes they just by chance are similar to something that something that's been written somewhere else. But someone did mention something about that, and then saying that's not sure if it's intentional, but that's hilarious. I'm trying to remember what it was again. Those since let's see here, because I know I came across it in the comments. Somebody mentioning it. Let's make sure It was. I mean, it's very, I don't intentionally like put anything in like that in something, but in the writing, I don't like taking lines from other places, um, other than from Ice and Fire. But it's sometimes another writer might put it in, and I might not know, or you might just hit it by accident, or by whether it be the subconscious or just pure coincidence. But there's no intentional. Oh, you know what? Not the young ones, because I'm not sure which one was that, but somebody was like, "Oh, you have a Harry Potter reference," because when Catelyn's head gets cut off, she's beheaded nearly. And apparently, there's a character in Harry Potter called nearly headless something or other. There's a nearly headless guy, nearly headless Nick. Yeah, I didn't know that, but no, he was beheaded nearly. But no, there was no intentional reference here. Um, Whoa! Welcome back. I rewatched every What You're Missing playlist and all the Q and A's in our den in the big screen. Even my wife giggled at Chad. High art stuff. Oh well, the What You're Missing and the the season 5, season 6, 7, 7, season 8 watch. I mean, What You're Missing. Some people are like, you never finished What's You're Missing. There's like one more episode that you could possibly do. You could do 6.10. And I'm like, oh, you're true. That's true. I could. I should, and I, even at the end of 6.9, I'm like, see you in 6.10. And I never go to 6.10. So many years. So many years that's unfinished. What's your best guess on why Fire Whites, Lady Stoneheart, Beric Dondarrion, have more intelligence and agency than the hive mind of Ice Whites? Love the recent Jamie chapter, by the way. I'm not sure they necessarily do. I mean, the whites that attack um, uh, the wall, like they know exactly where to go. Like they know the layout of Castle Black. They know their targets, and they go right after them. And so that's some degree of intelligence. Now, yeah, we never see them like chatting, having a conversation or anything like that. But it doesn't necessarily mean they can't. Um, they just haven't yet. So it could be that they do, but generally speaking, you kind of think of Ice Whites as being these, at least because of the Fist of the First Men, and they're so coordinated. You kind of think of them as being these hive-minded puppets that are controlled by another, while Fire Whites, and I guess in the show we never see them talk either. We literally see them as being hive mind puppets from the others in the show. So I mean, everything that they appear to be in the book, they are explicitly in the show. We never see them talk. They do just seem like puppets, but they did know the layout of and knew the targets, um, which is strange, because why would an other know the layout and know who's in the Night's Watch and all of that? Why would they know that information? Like somehow they retained the memories of the men to some degree. So I mean, I want to say that Ice Whites are somewhat smarter than we think, but maybe they're not Fire White level. I mean, the thing is, we just have Beric, right? We just have Beric's, like Lady Stoneheart. Who knows? She's growling around, but Beric Dondarrion does seem intelligent. I also don't. I do wonder who, you know, um, is Thoros the one that's actually puppeting Beric, and like who is puppeting Lady Stoneheart? Like, is uh, Arya actually puppeting Lady Stoneheart? You know, versus it just being this this independent resurrected thing. Like, what? Why are these things independently resurrected and acting on their own accord, um, versus having a cause for them to come, right? Because like Thoros resurrects Beric, so what is like, why is that resurrection allowed? Why is it allowed to be passed? But or is it Arya commanding Lady Stoneheart to rise, and she's being controlled on some sort of subconscious level by Arya the whole time? Um, Thor was Thoros' subconscious. Did he want justice in the world? He was sick of this stuff, and Beric is the manifestation of that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, my best guess, my best guess is that they're all puppets. It's just that I think Firewhites might be the a a more subconscious puppeting, because it doesn't seem like Thoros knows he's puppeting Beric, and it doesn't seem like Arya knows that she's puppeting Lady Stoneheart. So the Firewhites seem to be more, if it's something that something's going on subconsciously, and with Ice Whites, there's just more control from the overseer. So thus the suppressing of their conscious mind, because they're actually being like puppeted around by another. That's my best guess. I don't know. That's it's assuming a lot, I know. Um uh, 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 uh. What about the incest charge leveled against Cersei and Cersei won? Do they? That's an interesting one. Wait a minute. You're right. Last of all, and worst of all, there are some who say your children were not fathered by Robert, that they were bastards born of incest and adultery. Stannis says that, Cersei said. A lie, a palpable lie. Stannis wants the Iron Throne for himself, but his brother's children stand in the way, so he must claim that they are not his brothers. A filthy letter. There's no shed of truth in it. I deny it. The High Septon placed both his hands upon the table and pushed himself to his feet. Good. Lord Stannis has turned from the truth of the seven to worship a red demon, and his false place has no place in these seven kingdoms. That was almost reassuring. Even so, these are terrible charges, and the realm must know the truth of them. If your grace has told it true, no doubt a trial will prove your innocence. That, I mean, I would guess that the incest charge comes from Lancel. Lancel seems well aware that when Jaime goes to visit Lancel at Derry, Lancel seems well aware that that Jaime and Cersei were lovers. Um, and so I imagine that Lancel had known about the incest, and that with the regicide claim, he's tacked on the incest claim. So I'm assuming that's coming from Lancel, because you can't. I mean, it seems really weird to pin that on Stannis and then say, well, he's a heretic. Well, who cares what Stannis says? But he, the High Septon kind of frames it like, well, for the good of the realm, we should really like know about the truth of this charge. But legally speaking, like there needs to be an accuser who can revoke it. Strangely enough, there's also a line in A Feast for Crows where Cersei kind of wants the Blue Bard to die because then he can't retract his accusation, which is also legally a really weird thing, right? Like, well, then who's doing the accusing? I want to get to like where Lancel, because Lancel definitely like where Lancel like says something where it's like he knows. So Jaime makes it to Lancel in what? Jaime 4, and he says, because here's the thing is like Lancel is feeling super guilty about sleeping with Cersei, but then he wants Jaime to pray with him. Um, and they kind of like kneel together. Um, I don't know. I have to reread the. I have to reread. Now I'm unsure. I'm unsure if Lancel reveals to Jaime that he knows about the incest or not. But it's a good question. I mean, it might just be like I say, like a random fuck up of like George not thinking about the proper legality of all of this. Because like I say, there's dudes in jail that shouldn't be in jail, and accusations that fucking come out of nowhere. So you're right that all of a sudden they put this incest one on because Stannis, like you're taking a Stannis accusation. It's a good question. Um, on why the incest is on there. How's Littlefinger gonna navigate John Connington in the fanfic wins? Well, we're gonna have, you know, they're gonna be there's gonna be a bit of a stalemate or at first because I think I've made it pretty clear that the Vale is invading the Riverlands, and John Con and the Golden Company are busy taking over the Reach. And so what's going to happen later is they're going to be kind of busy in their own worlds, not touching each other for a while. And there's a big reason why they won't be touching each other, and it has to do with Maidenpool and what happens when the Golden Company takes Maidenpool. They get an important hostage at that point, but they're going to be kind of dealing with the Riverlands, and Jon Con is going to be dealing with the Reach until the end of the book. And then then Daenerys is going to come. Daenerys is going to arrive. And that's when the sides are going to be, then maybe Littlefinger is going to be with Daenerys. It's going to be interesting, right? But I think they're not going to be dealing with each other very much in that story. They're going to be parallel players, one taking the Riverlands, one dealing with the Reach. If there was going to be an exciting trial by combat, I think D&D would have done it in the show. Would they have skipped it? Why? I mean, D&D, there's definitely a lot of cool things that were in the book that D&D skipped for budget reasons, time reasons, what have you. I mean, you could put it this way, like in a Game of Thrones, there's the Battle of the Green Fork, which is major fucking battle. The big battle of a Game of Thrones, and they don't do it. They don't show it on screen. Euron and the Ironborn, like, raiding. Like, we have no taking of the Shield Islands, no raiding of Old Town, anything like that. Like, that's glossed over. There's no action there. The House of the Undying there's nothing cool in the House of the Undying except for one vision of Dany like walking through snow / ash, which is an one of the most exciting scenes in A Clash of Kings that everybody fucking loves, right? There's no, the sellsword Miro, the taking of the Second Sons in a Storm of Swords, like, that's passed over. There's a lot of fun scenes that are cut from Mummer's Ford. So there's a lot that they cut. So why would they have skipped it? Well, they just want to streamline everything and make it fast. But it's interesting about the wildfire that they use instead, because it's not that I don't think the wildfire is a Chekhov's gun that will be used at some point in the story, but under the Sept of Baelor is the one place there's not wildfire. That's the one place, because they already found it and they had it moved. It's the one place in the city. The rest of the city, plenty of fucking wildfire. But maybe they could have convinced him to, like, oh, we need to switch to a different sept. Like, they go to the Sept of Remembrance or something, and there's wildfire under that or something. But yeah, if George was serious about getting the book published, these trials don't happen. Either Charlie of the Golden Company lays siege to King's Landing, or they drop the shit. Exactly. I agree. Like when I get to the halfway point, which is fairly soon, I'm going to do a video on things I learned about the Winds of Winter, having gone through the fanfic process, because it's just like, you guys all saw me at the beginning of this video, like, just exasperated on how complicated the situation is with all of these different characters and what's right and wrong and, like, what could happen. And to know that it's all kind of fucking useless because Jon Con has just got to fucking take the city, is maddening. It's just like, and the thing is, it's every chapter, it's like I have to sit down and, like, very complicated, like, in a very complicated fashion, figure out, like, what characters exist here. okay, there's fucking 100 characters in this arena. What are they doing? What would they doing? What's logical here? What storylines need to be wrapped up? It's a lot easier to world build than world resolve, or even world play. Because, you know, you have to remember where everything is. If Jon Snow in Ghost sees Melisandre giving Kiss of Life to his corpse and rises, it's much more a Lich King than Resurrection if he skin changes back into the animated corpse and drives it directly. That's all very true. I mean, oh man, this is getting into like George's idea about like consciousness, and it's like you want to go read The Glass Flower again. So is an animated white like the problem is there's two contradictory notions that George is dealing with. So the body swap in fiction is a ridiculous concept because like our memories are physical things in our brain, right? You hit yourself with a you could hit somebody over the head with that with a wrench and they forget things. You've destroyed the memories. Like bonk, there go your piano lessons, right? Memories are physical fucking things. So when you do body swaps like your soul, like Freaky Fridays, it's really dumb because it's like, how are all of those memories, those physical things, going to somewhere else, right? So like, you know, like Vermeer Sixskins is consciously like himself with all of his memories when he is in the body of something else. You know, John is John in the Direwolf and has the memories and things like that. Now you could argue, okay, well maybe it's like being in the cloud, like there's a beam between them, and so the memories are going back and forth. So at the moment you've got this like hive mind situation, right? But no, and then so there's that weirdness. But then with Beric, we saw that like because he's been resurrected over and over again, we saw like damage to his brain, like his physical memories were going. So it's like, are the memories in the soul or in the head, right? They see, you know, so if John's soul is in Ghost, but the body is dead, he has no access to the memories. So like, how can you even have Second Life? Like Second Life makes no sense because how are you bringing those memories over? Like you beam it. How many can you beam over? Like in that beam before the person dies. So, you know, John's soul's in Ghost, but it can't be very much of John's soul if John's currently dead. And then his body goes back in. Ugh. Like I say, like body swap doesn't make any like literal sense. Like transferring souls doesn't make any sense. Souls themselves don't make any sense. You know, so it's a little silly, but yeah, his soul going back in. I mean, I suppose it would be kind of like if you look at Vermeer Sixskins, like soul after he dies, it's like floating in open air with the memories of Vermeer Sixskins in it, and then like goes into a second life. So the idea is that like John's soul with his memories goes into Ghost and somehow like makes it back, but it doesn't need to make it back because his memories are there in John's body. So his soul, I mean, I guess it's just driving. I guess we're just supposed to imagine like John's floaty soul goes into Ghost for some reason, and then floaty goes back into his dead body and reanimates for some reason. But it's kind of it's funny because you could say that like, let's say we totally destroy John's soul and John's soul's dead. Wouldn't Ghost's soul, once it made it into John's body, be effectively the same thing because it has all of John's memories? You know, like uh, uh anyway, I'm just, I understand people, have the Melisandre vision of man, a wolf, and a man, kind of thing. Even though John's a boy, um, but what does the kiss do at that point? Is it pulling the soul from the wolf? What was your most enlightening take from your conversation with Elio and Carmine? Mine was Sansa's direwolf. Um, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I've talked to Elio a few times now, and like, I'm I'm fairly like aware of like what he believes and what he's written and things like that. So I mean, I'm trying to think of like what specifically was super enlightening or interesting. Um, uh, uh, um, and I mean about the story. I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of enlightenment about like Elio as a person, like his character. Like every time I talk to him, I learn more about him. I'm trying to think of like what about Ice and Fire changed. Um, you know, and I'm not sure. Um, I guess we had a lot of conversations about like George and his previous joy and his previous like and how he used to be wanted to talk about his work and talk to the fans, and now there's a huge wall and a huge barrier, and a lot of it's from fame and a lot of it's from the negative feedback of like where's wins, but I think a lot of it is also from like George like no longer enjoying writing the book and things like that, and I think that might be an enlightening thing, because like when Elio talks about like his joy in reading the book and all of his early, he has a lot of sentimentality for like the early days of like when the books were new, and you could talk to George and you could all hang out and share your thoughts on it, and it was fun. Um, there was this golden era of and so I guess that was a little enlightening, like getting in the state of like um, how there's been a change in uh, George's relationship with his work and his fans, and how it's not it's not fun for him. It's not fun for him anymore, unfortunately, or it doesn't seem to be. Um, oh, out of all my characters, who would be my seven? Like in my fighting, like if I had a trial by seven, I mean, wouldn't you want to choose like the best fighters? Wouldn't you want like the Mountain and Strongboar and the Hound and Jamie Lannister with his hand and Mance Rayder? Um, who else is really? I mean, at that point, like what? Like you want Oberyn and my Nim Seven? Um, Oh, Loris, something like that. Wouldn't you just want the best? Isn't that the thing? um, three Prestons and four Carmines. Do you think Randall hired actual warlocks all the way from Karth, or just some mummers? No, I think he hired real warlocks. I think he was really wanted Sam to change. Um, he was doing anything. He wouldn't. Randall's not the kind of guy that would keep in mind, like Randall Randall is this is the type of guy that like went so far as to like make his son like sleep in armor and threaten to kill him on a hunt and things like that. Like he's not going halfway. He's not going halfway. He's getting those warlocks from Karth. Um, Once Tyrion got Oberyn as a champion, could Cersei have escalated to a trial by 7 when she was in the better political position to ask for one? Um, let me think about that. So in the show, they they kind of imply that the trial by 7 can, there's some limits on who can invoke it. Like it is a silly concept, right? Um, that at any point you can just be like trial of 7 motherfuckers and then like get it. And like I say, I think the logic of the hedge knight doesn't make any sense. Like don't get me wrong, like I it's an awesome fun concept in the end, but it doesn't make any sense. Like you do a trial by combat when you do a trial when there is a piece of information that only the gods know. But in the Hedge Knight, Dunk hit Arion. Everyone saw him hit Arion. He confessed to hitting Arion. There was a million witnesses to him hitting Arion. So what's the trial about? Like the trial is whether he had the right to hit Arion. Does he have the right to hit a prince if the prince is doing, the prince is enforcing punishment upon some people that are committing state treason. Like it's a complicated, complicated situation, but it's not something that really involves a trial by battle. Trial of battles is it's more like a situation with Tyrion in a Game of Thrones. Like, oh, I don't know who killed Jon Arryn. Did you kill, or did you kill Jon Arryn or whatever? I don't know if you killed Bran with who will know? Well, I guess we'll ask the gods. So I think I love the Hedge Knight. I fucking love it. Don't get me wrong, but the trial is stupid, right? So now we're in a situation. So and in this when it's so willy nilly, like any morally so the trial of 7 in the Hedge Knight is like any morally complicated situation can get a trial by 7. Like, well, isn't almost every case in the world morally complicated? Like can't you get into the intricacies of almost anything? By doing that, like rather than just focusing on like, well, what's legal or illegal here, Oh, so in the show, they kind of implied that, maybe only a prince can do it. Cause he's like, I think they say, oh, that's my right. He's like, oh, as a knight, I can invoke a trial by 7, but it's my right, or invoke a trial, but it's my right to do a trial by 7. Perhaps only royalty can do this. I don't know if that I don't think that's ever said in Hedge Knight. It's just said in the show. I think they in Hedge Knight they just kind of say what, like it's another form of trial by combat, ancient, seldom invoked. It came across the narrow sea. In a trial by combat, the accuser and the accused are asking the gods to decide the issue before them. The Andals believe that if the 7 fought the 7 on each side, it would be more like to take hand, and a just result would be achieved. So, from the standards given in the written material, it seems like anybody can fucking invoke a trial by 7. So yeah, at any time she could have been like, sure, trial by 7. Like, and then can he find 7 people? Like, no, probably not. But could Tyrion get 7 people to fight for him? No. He was pushing it with 1. I don't know why Oberyn did that for him. He had a personal vendetta against. Oberyn did it because he had a personal vendetta against the Mountain. Cersei could have escalated to trial by 7, and yeah, they totally would have won. They totally Tyrion. There's no way Tyrion would have found 6 other people to fight for him. That's ridiculous. Yeah. So, and then if you take the book, I mean the show, and say that only royalty can do it. Well, Cersei's a queen. I think she can probably. So yes, Cersei totally should have escalated to trial of 7. It would have been a totally good smart move. In Dance at Winterfell, Theon runs into a mystery man outside in the snow. The guy recognizes him and is surprised to see Theon alive, so he can't have been there long. A very George tease. Any thoughts? Yeah, I mean, the Hooded Man is kind of a classic mystery that a lot of fans have debated. There are no good answers. There are none. Like, some people will say something like Hallis Malin or something, and you can like break it down. I think the logic that a lot of people give is, okay, this is someone that came from outside the castle and made it inside the castle. And since Mors Umber is outside the castle and the Boltons are inside the castle, the person in question needs to be on good terms with both sides of this battle, which eliminates a lot of people. So some people are like, oh, could it be Mors Umber? Well, probably not, because he would not be on good terms with the Boltons. Who could be coming in? And so some people are like, oh, Hallis Malin. You're like, well, Hallis Malin is not on good terms with the Boltons. He can't get in. Like, why would they let him in? It has to be somebody that both Mors Umber and the Boltons would want in the castle, would allow in the castle. So some people have argued, okay, Howland Reed. Sure. Howland Reed, he has not participated in the wars. He could convince Mors Umber to let him in. He can convince the Boltons to let him in because he has not joined the war. So they'd be like, oh, here's a fucking lord. It's Howland Reed. Let's let him in. Okay. But he recognizes Theon. So there's your problem. Howland Reed, has Theon ever met Howland Reed? Don't think so. So even though Theon was brought around by Ned, you don't really hear about them going to Greywater Watch. So, I mean, I think the best choice is Robert Glover. Here's somebody that, the Glovers are supposed to be, they're secretly on the side of Stannis, but they're on paper, on the side of Roose, and so he could get in. But some people argue that, like, Robert Glover, shouldn't he be interested in getting his children back? Wouldn't he want to take Theon as a hostage to try to trade for his children at Harlaw? That's all true. That's why I say, like, there's no good answer. There's no good answer. I've been through like every single person that it could possibly be, and I don't think George thought about it when he made it. I think he mystery boxed it. I think the best solution is Robert Glover, but Robert Glover is not perfect. He's certainly not perfect as a choice. Never leave me again. If you do, it should be for a Jamie chapter. Well, Jamie chapter, give it to you guys when I got back. So, yeah. So, also, if only the Kingsguard can defend the Queen in trial by combat, how could Cersei ask for Gregor in Tyrion's trial? I think the idea is that, which is weird, that a royalty should feel more constricted than other people. Like the idea is that Gregor is yeah. Gregor is defending Cersei's position as the accuser. But Tyrion is defending. I think the exact quote. Is it only defending? Is that the idea? But again, I mean, obviously, she's pulling out this religious stuff at the moment and giving power to the Faith of the Seven, because she wants Margaery to be constricted. But and then I think here we go. As queen, her honor must be defended by the by a knight of the Kingsguard. Why every child in Westeros knows how Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight championed his queen's sister against Sir Morgul's accusations. So I think the idea is if you're really going here, I mean, obviously, like no one was really thinking about this before. Cersei just made it up and gave the power to the Faith, but in this situation, Cersei's the accuser, and Tyrion's in the defense position. So, as the Kingsguard defend the royal the queen. They aren't necessarily used as attackers. Would be my answer to this, even though obviously Cersei just made it up on the moment. Game recommendation: Esoteric Ebb. Oh, Esoteric Ebb. Oh, somebody recommended to me. Oh, okay. Esoteric Ebb. Somebody recommended the shit. What was the game of the futuristic noir murder mystery game? I actually watched it, and it was pretty fun. I watched episode 0. God, what was the name of that? That was Esoteric Ebb. This is what he's talking about. This. Oh, why no Greyjoy rebellion after Last Dragon or BF? Oh, Blackfire rebellions. Well, I mean, there is a Greyjoy rebellion during the Blackfire rebellions. That's when Dagon starts attacking. So there is one during the Blackfire rebellions. I'm trying to think. The reason there's not one during the Last Dragon is I think there's a right at the end of the war. The Ironborn make a move at the end of at the end of the Dance of the Dragons. I mean, it's kind of this final last thing. The Red Kraken, right? So Dalton Dalton joins the war, attacks the Westerlands, and then Dalton is and then there's a civil war among the a power struggle after Dalton's death. So Dalton gets killed. And there's a whole idea with like issues like the story of Oakenfist and stuff like that. So no, I mean there definitely is Greyjoy rebellions like during both of those periods. So I mean the last dragon, um like the idea is like, okay, after their civil war during the Dance of the Dragons, like the dragons are dying off and they still haven't like built up their power yet, the Ironborn. And then they do. I mean, once the Blackfire rebellions happen, then Dalton Greyjoy does his rebellion. Um, so yeah, does Lady Stoneheart cheapen the Red Wedding? I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that like anytime you bring back a character, you cheapen like the moment of it. Um, I mean, this is the whole issue where like the more you bring people back, the less death matters, right? You mean the big joke that is that like, oh, George kills all of these characters, but he hasn't really killed that many points of view characters. Like he's definitively killed two of them. Like he's killed Ned and he's killed Ares Oakheart, and Ares Oakheart barely counted, right? So like, um, it's yeah, the fact that like Cat comes back, of course it does, of course it does, but the function of Lady Stoneheart is important to George. George like fought to have Lady Stoneheart in. It was one of the few changes that he like tried to fight D&D on, and they told him they were like, sorry, we're not having Lady Stoneheart in the show. And George thought that was a mistake. I mean, I think it Lady Stoneheart represents like something more thematic with regards to um, morality. I think she's a stand-in for Ares. That Jamie had his Ares and Brienne has her Lady Stoneheart. That morality where you just are vowing to do what somebody else says and is not morality. And it's a big statement. Like it's a big statement for George. Like these Kingsguard, by just latching their trailer to somebody else doesn't make you an honorable person. Just and what George is saying is like soldiers signing up to go to Vietnam and fighting for America. Like America is not a morality, right? Like it's just you're just you're just passing your morality off on somebody else's choices, while and not making moral choices on your own. And so I think that like Lady Stoneheart, I do think that like there's very interesting things that George is doing with the story and the message of what Ice and Fire is about, and his moral, what he thinks morality is about. And so it probably didn't need to be done with a resurrected cat, but it's fine. It's fine. It's a big complicated story now, but yeah. But I think George's doing interesting things with Lady Stoneheart. But yes, any resurrection cheapens the death. Of course it does. Ice Whites can talk. They're just hyper introverts. Well, we haven't had a real situation where the Whites needed to talk, right? Um, for the like the times we've seen them, they've been trying to do clandestine operations. Like the 3 times we run it, well, the 4 times we run into whites, they're trying to attack people clandestinely, right? Actually, I guess has it been 5? I'm trying to think of how many times the whites have come back. The whites kind of come, like they're kind of in the prologue, right? But then they attack Castle Black the night with John and Mormont, and then they sneak up on the Fist of the First Men, and they sneak up on Sam at the village, and then they sneak up on Bran as he tries to get into the cave. So it's like you could argue that, like, they don't need to be talking. They're trying to do clandestine operations, but something. Maybe it's too cold to talk. Oh gosh, do you think more civil servants should finally open up about being teleported to the Waffle Houses against their will? Yeah, that's a really weird story. What Ross is talking about is the head of DHS, like, had this the FEMA head claimed he was teleported 50 miles to a Waffle House, and the Waffle House people didn't really remember him, but it was a scary experience. He was apparently just like drunk and had a bad dream or something, but it's so strange that he teleporting is no that what did he actually, and I don't know why he said this. He says teleporting is no fun. So he's spoken on multiple podcasts about being teleported against his will. He claims his car was lifted up while driving and transported 40 miles to a ditch near a church. And then he was teleported 50 miles away to a Waffle House. I was with my boys at the time, and I was telling them I was going to go to Waffle House to get I was going to go to Waffle House and get Waffle House, and ended up at a Waffle House. This was in Georgia. I ended up at a Waffle House like 50 miles away from where I was. And they said, where were you? And he said, at Waffle House. At a Waffle House where? A Waffle House in Rome, Georgia. That's not possible. You just left here a moment ago. But it was real. Teleporting is no fun. You know it's happening. You can't do anything about it. Wow, what an incredible adventure. So one of the things about life you kind of learn as you get older is, you watch TV in these movies and they have these like incredibly smart people in like high positions, and they know like 7 languages, and you're like, oh, thank God we have these like, super talented people in these power positions, like saving the world. And it turns out like smart people do fine in the world, but they're never the leaders. They're never the heads of everything. And it might be because smart people do the calculation and they're like, oh God, running everything is just not fucking worth it. Like, like I get this much money, I get this much more money, and for what, And so you end up like the people that want to be in power are people that like crave power. They're not necessarily smart people. So you have these people in power positions that can be really dumb and crazy. While the smart people, I'm not saying smart people don't like earn their money and make their living and like exist, but the heads of agencies, the CEOs, like they're not the super smart people. Like the super smart people are like, a couple steps below, I thought Jamie would have a trial by 7 because Gendry is a smith, and then Brienne, Pod, and the other knights get them to 5 already. I mean, Gendry doesn't seem to have any love for Brienne or Jamie. That's the thing is, you just don't get enough people, and like why? Like, okay, you can get Hyle Hunt, But what has Hyle Hunt done? I mean, would he join for the hell of it? Pod's just a kid, so you know you got to be realistic too. Like Podrick, like he's a child. Like he's not going to be fighting in a trial by 7. You know, you'd have Brienne, you've got Jaime, you've got Hyle Hunt. End of list. Like, you know, so 4 a.m. in Croatia, there's a 3-day Song of Ice and Fire art challenge going on. What object, scene, environment would you chat want to see visualized in 3D? Oh my. Trying to think what would be really that we haven't seen, because like an obvious one is like, oh, you do like the throne, right? But it's not quite as fun or interesting. Visual, you know, honestly, I think this, like, I think Dorne and the Sand Ship is the most fascinating, because people, we never saw it in the show. Obviously, though, with Croatia, everybody's like, oh, it was filmed in Croatia, and everybody's like wants it to be related to the show. But honestly, the Sand Ship, I think, is the most interesting thing that people just don't think about. But yeah, like this huge fucking ship that just like exists on the beaches of Dorne, where it's so large that people like live in the Shadow City and stuff. I'm fascinated with this, with Sunspear and the Sand Ship. I think that'd be fucking bonkers to, but it's just not famous, so people might be like, oh, what is that? Oh, it's the Sand Ship. They'd be like, what's the Sand Ship? No one knows, you know. But if you want something from the show, you know, I'd say like do the twins or something. That would be really fun to have like the twins and the bridge and everything. But I think the Sand Ship is the one for me, where I'm just like, no one's done that. There's so few pictures of it. It's such a fucking crazy thing in Ice and Fire, and people don't talk about it enough. People don't draw it enough. It's fucking, you know, it's crazy. Might have missed it at the beginning. Are you going to talk about the 4chan Winds of Winter alleged rumor burning up a Song of Ice and Fire Reddit? Oh God! Like how many times can people like cry wolf and have to do the rug pull? Okay, like yes, okay. So what Modern Synthesis is talking about here is that on 4chan, like somebody wrote in and said like, oh, I'm in the know. I'm one of like George's like helpers, assistants, and George dropped off a draft that for the Winds of Winter, and it's done, and he dropped it off with the editor, right? And it's like there's some contradictions in the story, like, oh, it's 1,600 manuscript pages, but it's the size of A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons combined, and you're like, well, that those two things don't square. But no. First of all, if George were finishing The Winds of Winter, okay, he would post something on his fucking blog. He would tell the world. He would or like artists would know, editors would know. There'd be a million fucking leaks already. Like if the editors got it, like people at that publishing house would be like fucking crazy, and there'd be like a fucking party. Like the idea that one person that like would be like, I heard, and he went to fucking 4chan. First of all, if he was in the know and that he could go to fucking CNN. Okay, like you go to a real news organization with this news, and they would be like, "It's done. It's here." Like just on that sense, like come on, guys. Like a story like this, and it's on 4chan. Like come on, like come on. And the story doesn't make any sense. Also, like just he posted on his blog. He posted on his blog last time. Like his friends would leak it. Like his friends would talk about it. Like Elio would talk about it. Like people would know 4chan. Like this is like Trump like claiming the war is over, and then it's not, like over and fucking over again. And it's like stock market goes up, stock market goes down. Like you just, like, and no, no. Oh, stop falling for this shit. Stop falling for this shit. I guarantee if Winds of Winter is published and there was like George would post it on his blog, or someone at a real legitimate news agency like CNN would have the information. It wouldn't be on fucking 4chan. Okay. That's not how it works. Like people that like to leak stuff, like also get in the mindset of like someone that like has like wants, like people that like to leak like to feel powerful, right? That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about like leaking. Why if you had this like juicy piece of information, would you post it anonymously to 4chan? Like why wouldn't you fucking go to CNN? Just so silly. So silly. No. There's no fucking Winds of Winter coming. Fucking cry wolf again. How many times? If whites are puppets, what happens to their consciousness when they die? How is a consciousness absorbed, and how is it weaponized? I mean, this is the big contradiction of like, are you animating a body that has the memories, and is there an active consciousness inside? I mean, George, at least in his younger years, he did think about these sorts of things. Like what is a vessel for memories is different from consciousness. Like consciousness is this phenomenological like state of being here, right? And like having an experience. The glass flower is very much about this because like, Chloronimus in the glass flower, he is a robot with the real Chloronimus's memories. But let's also keep in mind that like real people forget stuff. Real people only have access to certain amounts of information at a time. Like we stumble, we're limited by stuff, And if you're an android with like perfect memory, with no mortality, with no forgetting, that's not the human condition. That's not consciousness. And so, I mean, Chloronimus in the story, like, no longer wants to be this robot anymore because he wants to have the human condition again. Because that's not what it is. Like, this is this whole idea of like, oh, one day we'll be uploading our consciousness into computers. Well, no, because once you do that, you immediately lose the human condition because computers don't forget. So it's dumb. Like it's just the whole concept. Like, oh, I'm going to upload my brain into a computer, and maybe if we have these robots and we can teach AI to be like people. No, like you can't. Like they'll never be like us because we have a certain limitations on what is here right now in our experience. We forget we're mortal. We only have access to certain information at a time. You can't have a computer have the same experience as a human. So are these bodies, which are, puppets of memory and stuff, do they have consciousness? I don't know. I don't know if they have consciousness or if they blended consciousness. That's the other weird thing is like George wrote so many stories about blended consciousness, but like once you start talking about blended consciousness, it's not even consciousness anymore. If you have like perfect access to all these memories and stuff like that, like well, the experience becomes something completely different. Um, so, what happens to the consciousness when they die? I mean, I think it's just the others. I mean, on the simple case, it's just like the others puppeting, like the others have consciousness and they're like puppeting it. But you could also just say that, like, okay, maybe it's like Verimir Sixskins. Verimir Sixskins seems to have just like blended its consciousness with like 6 animals at once. And they're all kind of playing with, they're all in each other's brains. Maybe all of the others' brains are conscious and linked together with the other in a blended state. And so if one dies, I guess its consciousness melds with everybody else. I mean, again, it doesn't make sense because his memories are in the fucking like brain, but like I guess the idea is that like everything would be uploaded. Um, if you have like 5 servers sharing the same information, and one server goes down, are there backups on the other servers? Is it something like that? Yeah, did you hear the staffer rumor that Wins is coming out this year? It's probably fake, but a man can have hope. Preston talked me off this ledge. I'm sorry, man. It's just no. Like George has in George's most recent interview, which is one in Germany, right? He talks about how like, oh, he needs to get back to writing The Winds of Winter, but he needs to get these other projects off his plate first. And the guy's like, that's a lot of projects. Yeah. So if you go to it's a German interview. Welt DE. And there's obviously people are looking for the translation, but he did an interview, not to mention the one that came out and not too long ago with the Hollywood Reporter, but he does this interview with the Game of Thrones. The name of it is from Die Welt, Game of Thrones author. Ich denk immer wieder, ich sei kurz Davo. They asked him specifically, like, okay, he says, I'm working on Winds of Winter. I keep thinking I'm close to finishing, but then something comes up. Welt. You told me back then about a cabin in a secret location where you would retreat to concentrate solely on writing novels. When were you last there? Martin. Well, in 2019, I still had a cabin up in Durango, Colorado, where I went to work, but I gave that up a few years ago. Now I'm back in Santa Fe. I'm just trying to juggle all these projects. There are a lot of projects. I'm obviously late with The Winds of Winter, very, very late, but I've also already written a lot of the book, so I'm trying to clear my desk from working on the other projects so I can finish the novel. List of projects. If you implement all of that, it'll probably be a very long time before you have time to finish that novel, The Winds of Winter. Martin. Well, yes, laughs. Many of my fans aren't going to like what I'm about to say. They'd love to hear me confirm, yes, the novel is finished and will be released next month. I simply have to take things one step at a time. Find the time, go to my office, sit down, write a page, write another, finish the book, and then move on. It's not easy. So it's just it's just interview after interview after interview of George saying the same thing, that he's got other projects. He doesn't have time to work on Winds right now. He's at the 1100 page mark. You know, the idea that it's coming out now or this year, no, like it's just not. Like it's just not. When he writes, you know, he talks about it, he blogs. He hasn't done any of that. Okay, he's busy with his other stuff. So no, there's no secret staffer who has inside information. There's nobody. Okay, it's just everyone needs to stop. Stop it. The Iran war is not ending. Oil prices are not going to fucking drop. Just stop believing. Stop believing this shit. Oh man. Running down the live stream Glub Shittos. Alardim, Malor the Dornishman. Oh, I fucking love Malor the Dornishman. Nimble Dick, Stone Snake. Has there been any recent ones in the fic? My personal is Small Paul. That would be Trey's. There's a lot of people that we like brought back name wise. Like if you go to the Cersei chapter in the fanfic. Well, first off, I mean, in the Hota chapter, we bring back what, like Merlin Crakehall, the boys, the three boys, like we bring like the scrape sword, like that was all like scraped from like appendices, you know, and then Malwyn in Lice we brought back. I mean, almost every chapter just has all of these like random appendix characters brought back. Regaro in Danny's story, like stuff like that. But Cersei, I think there's a whole bunch. I've got to like look here, page 342 here. Because she goes to court, and we're like, I sat down with the editors and we're like, who's at court? And you're like, okay, fuck. Who's at court? We got to figure it out. Okay, so she comes to court, and it's I've got it. Scant group, hardly befitting a royal assembly. All the men all rot in cells or will rot on some battlefield. Among those left behind, Maester Balabar, Lord Alessander Stedman, old Lord Adrian Celtigar. For knights, they had Sir Alan Hunt, Sir Elwood Hart, Horror and Slobber themselves, Drops just in Sir Willem Withers, Moonboy, Butterbumps, the ancient chief underjailer that's running for Long Waters. The ladies they were looking at, Jocelyn Swift, Yana Fossway, Meredith Crane, Alicent Bulwer, Alice Graceford with her child Lana, Humphrey Waters. It's just like yeah, I mean, it's just a whole bunch of randos. But you know, the thing with Glub Shitto, like as a concept, is it about like also just creating random names for like throwaway alien characters like Cad Bane or whatever? You know, how throwaway are these guys? You know. But yeah. What action time traveling George did end up? What action time traveling George did end up in this timeline with no wins and bald Preston? Just kidding. Hyped for collab with Bookborn. Yeah, I've been talking to Bookborn. We'll try to do. We're gonna do something soon. I mean, you know, yeah. It's what happens. It's what happens to men. We all go bald. It's funny, the the thing is like it's gonna happen to most of you guys. Like, people bring it up like on stream a bit. I'm just like, it's like the cow, like one, like 10 meters behind another cow on the assembly line, like about to get slaughtered. Like one cow being like, ha ha, you're about to get slaughtered. It's like, you're gonna get slaughtered like in 10 meters. Like people are like, oh, you're bald. It's like, you're gonna go bald, or you're gonna get something else that's gonna be worse. Like you're gonna get cancer, or your nose is gonna grow large, or you're gonna get some sort of massive mole. There's gonna be something. Everybody's got something. Going bald, not that bad. I mean, honestly, like, this is the big thing, is that like women don't really care what you look like that much. Like, they're not as shallow as we are. They don't care. Like, they don't care. Like, it's just, there's plenty of like, sexy bald guys. Jason Statham, so it's fine. It's fine. Plus, go bald. It's kind of nice not having like dandruff and psoriasis on my head. So, I'm fearing to ask, but how probable is Adam Marbury to die in the Winds or the Fic? He's a very similar character to Balon Swan, I think. I mean, he's very loyal, and he's just a great fighter and super loyal. And there's nothing, we don't really have anything bad to say about Adam Marburand, right? Is he like to die? I don't know. I mean, because the thing that endangers his life right now, right, is the wolves or like the Brotherhood without banners, right? Those are his big threats. And the thing about the growing wolves is, yeah, like, so he's like searching for blackfish and stuff like that. And so the idea is that maybe he could, his big dangers is that he's going to get killed by the wolf pack or killed by Brotherhood without banners. And honestly speaking, I think the wolf pack is just another thing where you're just like, there's nothing really compelling about the wolf pack. Like, I don't really care about this very large group of wolves that's growing in the middle of the Riverlands. Like, I don't see how it is about the human heart and conflict. Is it about like Arya's human heart and conflict, like this growing wolf pack and the problems it's going to cause? I feel like we just need to kill that fucking wolf pack off and like move on with our lives, because it's not. I don't think the growing wolf pack is a very compelling plot point personally. And so like it existing to slaughter random characters, like poor Adam Marbrand or Ilan Payne or somebody, like, I don't know. I don't, or is it so, I mean, is the idea that it's going to grow so large and then in some battle against the others, Arya would be wielding this wolf pack of 1,000 wolves against undead monsters, and I'm supposed to think that's fucking awesome or something? Is that like the idea? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Do other people like the wolf pack? Wolfpack's awesome. Here, I'll go down here. Who likes the Wolfpack? Anybody? Arya needs to return to the Wolfpack. Such a wolf hater. Boo. Wolfpack seems more like a rule of cool that went nowhere. That's the thing, right? What could be deeper than Wolfpack? I have a cool idea with regards to that when we get to the second Arya chapter. But I think, I don't want to spoil anything, but I've got a pretty fucking cool idea on what to do. But I'm not. I don't think the wolf pack is is something that needs to exist. I mean, it was cut from the show. Did anyone complain? Did I hear a single person complain that they cut the massive wolf pack from the show? Um, Trial is Dunk's vows versus whacking a prince. I mean, that's the thing, is right. Like, is the is the hedge knight, like, can you really do a trial off of like complex moral situation? Like, honestly, like if you were to go to court in America, like let's say like in the modern world, it was on the books that if you strike a prince, you lose a hand. Like, okay, and then somebody else has like their own personal vow that they need to protect people, but the king also has the right to prosecute people that are, you know, uh, doing treason against the king. Like, that's true too. So like it just wouldn't fly. Like, um, I mean, imagine even it's let's take a very real situation here. Okay, imagine you see an ICE agent like beating someone up. Okay, and you think it's unjust that ICE agent is beating someone up, and it is. And you run over and tackle that ICE agent, and then you're arrested. Okay? Do you think that would go well for you? Do you think when you went to court and they were like, oh, you have a personal vow to protect people who are in trouble? Like, well then, I guess that's going to be okay for you like tackling an ICE agent. And keep in mind, Dunk didn't just tackle an ICE agent. He fucking punched a prince. Like this like a trial on this is almost, it's kind of silly. um you know but it's a great fun story. But when you really examine like the situation, he positively hit a prince. There's no denying that. There shouldn't be a trial by seven. We don't need the seven gods to tell anybody like like what happened here. um Dunk lives so he can baby swap with baby Rhaegar. Fuck. Oh fuck. Like, he runs off with the real baby Rhaegar, and then like they find a random baby Rhaegar to pretend. Oh no. Then he raises real baby Rhaegar. Oh god. Oh, oh god. Oh, like that'd just be like a useless complexity to the story. Like, oh my god, like nobody was in the Targaryen line because Dunk had the real Targaryens spirited off to his own. Oh man. Oh, that would be hilarious. um Dunk followed Prince's orders of Prince. Dunk followed orders of Prince Aegon to defend the common lady. Plus, Egg denied the kidnapping. Probably why Baelor pushed trial by combat. I mean, that would work if anyone put forward that argument, but no one put forward that argument. Like, it's true that a prince ordered Dunk to do that, and he could have made the argument one prince against another prince who's which order like goes. In fact, this is the whole plot of the Hound's trial by combat, where he has to where he gives the order of he gets an order of killing Micah, and so who is he to argue. And so the Brotherhood Without Banners' trial, I guess, is similar to the in that it's a complicated moral situation. It's not really about discovering truth and asking the gods to uncover truth for you. It's I've got a really complicated moral quandary, and I don't know what to do. So trial by combat, which are two different things, you know. I mean, but you're completely right that like Dunk could have made that argument, but the argument was never made. No one made that argument that Egg made that Egg ordered it. Realize that Jaime being naked, saved by Brienne with a sword while in the snow, is parallel to the weirwood dream with the Kingsguard others. Or am I tripping? Huh. I mean, if that's the case, it's a coincidence. I mean, there's things I thought about with the dreams, like Jaime thinking about the dream of his mother and conflating it with Lady Stoneheart, which is something that George was probably thinking of. I mean, when he sees his mother, she's dressed as a Silent Sister, and Lady Stoneheart is called the Silent Sister and stuff like that. But Jaime, this is his weirwood dream where he sleeps on the stump. And are you talking where he sleeps on the stump and then goes back for Brienne? I have to. I mean, it wasn't intentional. If there is a parallel there. That's why we have Barristan Selmy. I guess this was about bystanders Selmy. Right. These moral these moral questions with the Kingsguard. And wouldn't the Tyrell cousins' fathers come to King's Landing to defend their daughters? Yeah, they definitely should. I mean, a lot of people should. The thing is, they don't really they talk about the rest of the people on trial and what should happen to them. Like, what should happen to all of these guys that supposedly slept with Margaery? Should they all be put to death? How are we proving that? Do they all get trials by combat? Which is why, like, the trial by 7 like makes kind of sense with regards when you got all these dudes and it's just like complicated. So, In the show, Tansel slays a black dragon. Maybe it was a political statement. Just one that was ironically meant to be pro-Targaryen, anti-Blackfire. I gotta look back at that dragon. I guess he was black. Oh, wait a minute. He's looking pretty green. This is the picture I have here. Or is that just the color? Well, the guys are in black. And up against that now, that's definitely a green dragon. So the statement being made is that Aegon II was the correct king during the Dance of the Dragons. But you know, the guys are dressed. If I were to look at it, the guys are dressed Dornish. The guys are dressed like Dornish people. So, and it's done by Dornish people, and they're defeating a dragon. It kind of calls back, the Aegon's failed conquest of Dorne. So, wasn't smart. Especially if I mean, doesn't everybody know that the fucking Targaryens are crazy? Why are you putting on this show when you know Targaryens are around? Time traveling Bran can't have time jumped in the the first time with Bloodraven. Contrivances that allow for time traveling Bran to find Bloodraven are too many. First time with traveling Bran on the Isle of Faces was after the White Walkers destroy half of Westeros. Time traveling Bran gets future loop sent to Bloodraven. Oh man, I mean, thinking about the time travel always causes a headache here. Yes, the idea that first time traveling Bran would obviously be older, and he would be in a situation where the others won, and he has to like figure out how to go back to loop it again. The question is, would the first one be with Bloodraven, or would the first one just be at the Isle of Faces at the end of the war? I mean, first time traveling Bran would probably go south, become a knight, grow old. Yeah, I mean, I think even plot wise, if I have Bran escape the Thread Crow Bloodraven cave, that he thinks he breaks the loop, and in fact there's like more loop because time traveling Bran was able to time travel at different trees. I think all that makes sense. But yeah, I think his first trip being at the Isle of Faces, like, yeah, that could work. That could make sense. That would make sense. Trying to think if the contracts for finding him. Time traveling gets future loops sent to Bloodraven. Yeah, I mean, it's so like mind-numbingly complicated to think about, like the time travel loop. Like if you're doing time travel loops, and then you're doing time travel loops from, like, it's one thing to think about it in the case of like, oh, it's Groundhog's Day, but now it's like Groundhog's Day from many locations, or it's just maybe the original location is. I mean, I do think it works. I'm just trying to think if I'm trying to do the reverse and being like, can it not be like how did he find Bloodraven in the future? Like in the original timeline, did he need to find Bloodraven to learn how to time travel? And I guess he could learn how to time travel from the Green Men is the idea, but could he have learned it from Bloodraven? I mean, I think my plan is to have like, I mean, there's got to be fucking something on the Isle of Faces, but like, does it need to be? Can the first time travel loop be with Bloodraven? Bloodraven would be really old. Because like if we're accepting that like Bran is like an adult when he first time travels, I mean, I guess maybe what's 20 more years for Bloodraven? I don't know. Let's see here. If the others control dead things, will they be able to control Lady Stoneheart and Robert Strong if their paths crossed? So there is a um, there's a George R. R. Martin story called Override, where telepaths who are controlling like corpses, um, like wrest the corpse from someone else to telepathically, like in a mind battle. And in a sense, like that also happens with Vermeer Sixskins. He like wrests people telepathically. Um, so it's definitely something that's been done before. I mean, specifically with corpse. Like I'm saying, the story Override exists. Um, so I mean, I think the others can control dead things, but they would have to wrest the telepathic control from who is controlling Lady Stoneheart and Robert. Well, I mean, Robert Strong. Robert Strong. I don't know if Robert Strong's dead, but like, um, I mean, he's nearly dead. but, but I think yeah that I think they would have to wrest the telepathic control from someone else. In the same sense as like Vermeer Sixskins wresting telepathic control from somebody, or in Override, people wresting the telepathic control. There'd be like a mind battle to gain control. Um, oh, the franchises could be in danger from angry fans if George fesses up that he's never doing wins. My theory is HBO wants the facade kept up. Yeah, yeah. That's all. That's all. I think that is true. I mean, there's a when you look at like economic motivation, a lot comes out of when you look at human behavior. I mean, obviously, like the biggest economic motivation for him would be like write the fucking book and make millions and millions of dollars, and then buy yourself the rest of your life for a dream of spring. Like that's I mean that's the thing is like had he had he actually gone to the cabin for a year and finished Winds of Winter, even making like a meandering go nowhere book. Like even if he did like a meandering go nowhere book where like he's inventing 100 more plot lines and 50 more point of view characters, like he would buy himself so much time. I mean, that's what he thought he was doing with Fire and Blood. Like, oh, I'm buying myself time. Here, you guys get this great book. Don't you all love Fire and Blood? Um, but yeah, he would if he sat down and he finished Winds of Winter, he would buy himself the rest of his life. Like he'd just be like, oh yeah, I just started on this new one. Got got to give me a few years, you know, and oh, it's done. It's done. But yeah, yeah, it's just. But again, it's really fucking hard. It's really fucking hard to finish the book because he's made the books um, too complicated. Could Time Traveling Brand be George R. R. Martin's version of Iluvatar? I guess, but I mean, he is God in a sense, but he is like making these statements about free will. I mean, I do wonder if Time traveling Bran, realizes that he needs to die, right? You know, he needs to die to give everybody free will, which also kind of feels like, doesn't it feel like Butterfly Effect, where like the time traveler realizes that the only way to save the world is to kill himself? Uh, um, isn't that wolf pack gonna fight Ramsay's dogs? The wolf pack is like 100. It's like 100. It's like 100, more than 100 wolves or something at this point. Ramsay's dogs, it's like 7. Um, I love the wolf pack, but I'm a Wheel of Time fan. Uh, You've said before that Clash is your least favorite because of the Arya and Tyrion storylines. Do you prefer the show versions of them in season two? I'm trying to think of like, I mean, I remembered the Tyrion storyline in the show also being just aggravating because it was a lot of it was a lot of this stuff they were giving Shay to do. Like you need to protect Sansa kind of stuff, or like her being obviously furious at Tyrion and everyone pretending like they don't notice her being obviously furious at Tyrion. So I don't know. I don't think they necessarily did anything really good with the Tyrion storyline in season two of the show, even, you know. So I mean, I think I stand by um what like my opinion here. Like I think specifically like Tyrion, like the Tyrion story. I mean, look, everybody likes the Blackwater. Like, don't get me wrong, Blackwater's great, but there's a lot of wasted Tyrion time of him fucking Shay and dealing with singers and going you know, stuff like that, um and not taking action against Littlefinger and stuff like that in a Clash of Kings. That is frustrating with the Tyrion story, and it didn't need to be as long as it was. The same with the Arya story. It meanders, where, you know, in a Clash of Kings where it's Amory Lorch and the Mountain's Men and Janice Slint. I mean, not Janice Slint, and Jack and Agar, and it's all over the place. It's all this shit is happening. It's just wandering for so many chapters. You just think of how concise some of these stories are, and you know, Danny and Karth is 5 fucking chapters. like she's actually in Karth for 4 chapters, but you know, some things can be so concise, and then Arya and Tyrion are so long in that book. So, but like, I don't necessarily think they did that much anything very great in the show with that. I mean, I guess they spent less time on it. So it also doesn't lead anywhere. Like the whole like the three choices thing. It has nothing to do with the House of Black and White that she runs into later. It's unrecognizable. Like Jock and Agar is unrecognizable compared to what she runs into later. So I don't even know where it was leading. There's like no one really has any good answers on how to reconcile Jock and Agar's behavior with the House of Black and White. So yeah, no, I stand by that. The show didn't really do anything to improve on it. Old Rhaegar's dragon seed. It's like poetry. So they find a dragon seed to replace baby Rhaegar, and that's why the dragon genes are back in the line. Meanwhile, real Rhaegar, where did real Rhaegar go? Or did real Rhaegar like go on? He's living on Dragonstone as a rando. The Faceless Men take great care to make their killings appear as natural deaths. How would Jaqen kill Bloodraven to make it look natural? I mean, they make their killings. Well, I don't know if they make their killings appear natural. I mean, Pate is gonna be fucking found on the streets of Old Town poisoned. Like they're gonna find this dead kid, and people are gonna be like, "Whoa, it's a fucking dead kid. He was poisoned." And that's the end of it. Like, and it's the same with like if the insurance salesman like also dies from a biting coin, which we don't know. We're never confirmed on that or not. But like that doesn't really look very natural either. He's just going to die of poison as well. I mean, Jaqen, he what? He throws somebody from a wall. He has dogs like kill somebody else, and I mean, they're straight. The people know they're straight up murdered. They just didn't know who murdered it. So I mean, it's not that they're appearing natural. I mean, unless you count the dog one, but it's that you don't know who the killer is, and that they're keeping the order a secret. And so Pate is just going to be found fucking dead, poisoned, and they're going to be like, oh wow, there's a poisoned fucking dead kid here. Um, you know, so meanwhile, I mean, the thing is, anything that happens with Bloodraven, like no one's fucking around. Like you kill Bloodraven, and there's like, who's gonna know? Some children of the forest, Bran, and Mira. Like that's it. Like you can do whatever you want up there. No one's gonna know. You know, it's not like they're sitting there being like, what if somebody goes into Bloodraven's cave? We want to make sure it looks like natural causes. Like really, you're worried about the natural causes of like a magical corpse wizard, like like intertwined with werewood roots. Like I mean, at this point, like it doesn't fucking matter. Like it doesn't matter if you make it show look natural at all. I mean, I don't accept the premise to begin with, but like at one point it's like it's fucking Bloodraven. It's a magical ancient wizard like in the middle of a werewood tree. Like who fucking cares if it looks natural or not? I mean, but if you want to just start the tree on fire if you want, but I'm sad, please. CIA miracles or more chapters. I don't think we're getting, we're getting no happy endings to the Iran war. We're getting no happy endings to I mean, the happy endings to the Winds of Winter is the fanfic. So you guys have that. Doing my best. Doing my best. We all know George is a Howard Waldrop Howard Waldrop's friend. When will we get a show on the Texas-Israeli War in 1999? It's nuts. Read the backstory of the wiki. I have looked over that story before. It's very funny looking at like Israel politics over the years. Because like the narrative changes, even though the conflict is always there, the narrative of like other people summing it up changes over time. And so it's very funny because if you read some of Wildcard's, George kind of sums up like what he thinks the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is about. And it's about shit that like we would not like. He's talking about like the importance of like having the Negev desert. And you're just like, no one ever fucking talks about that today. Like, no, like it's just, and it's true. Like, I mean, when I was in graduate school, like it was just an accepted thing that the two-state solution is an eventuality, and that we would have a Palestinian state, and it was, that was just going to happen. Maybe the borders were an issue, and the amount of right of return on how many refugees would go where was an issue. And now, 25 years later, it's just, the two-state solution seems like something so far from everyone's mind as a possibility. So, yeah, the Texas-Israeli War of 1999. So the the Irish government declare war on the UK. They conquer Northern Ireland and expel the Protestants. And so they put LSD in the water supply of the UK. And under drug influence, the Prime Minister ordered nuclear war against Ireland and Ireland's allies, which include South Africa and China. So now we have World War II with the Americans and the British against the Chinese and biological warfare goes into effect, damaging much of the human population. China invades the Soviet Union. Israel remained the only major neutral great power. Ha ha. I mean, the things were like today, like ha ha. By the end of 1982, half the world's population was dead. 90% had perished in plague. Texas declared independence from the United States as the Second Republic of Texas due to their oil reserves. During negotiations in Oklahoma City, President Clare would kidnap Texas Rangers held in Texas. The war between the two nations continued because somehow Israel is the only country to survive. Yeah. It's funny, how they like that we imagine this futuristic world with like biological warfare, but not like moving past fossil fuels, like but a crazy idea. Time traveling brand is George's version of God or Eru Yuvatar. I mean, it's possibility. I mean, I see some connections in the sense that like the werewood net is God, it's heaven, it's all of those things, and it kind of, and in order for people to have free will, like God needs to die, right? Which is the foundation of existentialism, right? Like God is dead, man chooses his own destiny. Have you ever had your Hulk John moment, like you were stronger than you thought or something? We need more bench press and stories. I think I've told this one before, but there is the various times I've been mugged or been in danger in my life. I usually have a flight reflex. So there's a time in college where a car drove up and they flashed a gun and they said, "Get over here," and I ran off. There was a time where I was walking home drunk and some guys ran out to mug me and I tried to run and they kicked me down and took my wallet. There was a time in DC where I was walking home and like car drove up and pointed a gun at my face and I like took off running. And there was another time in DC where some guys tried to run after me, mug, and I ran away. So I usually have that flight instinct. And I've read a lot of things that are like, oh, that's probably a pretty good idea. Because like you think about the kind of things, like somebody pulls a gun. If you run, you're like, okay, what are the chances that the person is actually going to shoot? Probably pretty low. And if they do shoot, what's the probability that they're actually going to hit you? What's the probability if they hit you, you're going to get hit in someplace vital? And then what's the probability that if you get hit someplace vital, that you actually die? You put that all together, your odds are pretty good for just fucking run, like so. But one time I was in Ethiopia and I went to this lake and there's families there and everything, and these three guys started talking to me and they looked like kids, even though they said they were like 23, and they were talking to them about like for like 30 minutes. And they were like trying to tell me about Jesus and stuff. And like, we even exchanged email addresses and, and I was like, okay, I'll see you guys later. And I like walk off to take the path back to town because there was a path between town and the lake that was, I'm not saying it was a long path. It was like 15-minute walk, 20-minute walk, but it's like, I'm like 2 minutes up the road, and they like follow me, and they're like, well, you better give us your money. And I just fucking, and I don't know, it's just because it was a big uphill, so I couldn't exactly like run away or something, or I wasn't even thinking, but I just like huffed my chest out, and I was just like, I will fucking kill you. And I don't know where it came from, like, but you know, one of the guys like picked up a rock and threw it, and I didn't feel anything, but like they ran off, even though there's three of them. They probably could have fucking beaten me up. There's three of them, but they ran. And I just remember the next day I had this massive bruise on my leg. So maybe they were going for my nuts or something. But yeah, I hulked out. Yeah. Don't be drunk in DC. I mean, it was Chicago where it was the drunken part, it was the drunken place. But yeah, Sir Preston bravely ran away. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, the being drunk walking home on the south side of Chicago is you know, it proved not to be a smart decision. Actually, the one time with the gun flashing, that was actually at a safe part of campus at like 10. Like the time they got my wallet, that was like 4 a.m. walking home drunk down a dark street. That was dumb, you know. So zigzag if possible. Yeah, I know. All right. Yeah, made it to the end. I mean, you're as tall as the legendary Duncan the Tall. I mean, the show Duncan the Tall, I'm the same height as, but the book Duncan the Tall, he's like 6'11" or something. So, um, yeah, no, it was three Ethiopian guys, not Egyptian guys. Three Ethiopia. It was in Ethiopia. Egyptians, I don't know if Egyptians are they might pickpocket you. I just couldn't imagine uh, an Egyptian, like I couldn't imagine any time in Cairo, like one, like every place is crowded, but like it just, I couldn't imagine people trying to like physically attack you, you know, pickpocket you or something. But I don't know. Never get away with that in Burkina Faso. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, I've come to the end. Thank you all for joining me. Um, I um oh gosh, fine. One last thing, and then I gotta go. Preston, have you heard the theory that because Harry Swift wears colorful clothes, he's probably has a sword belt in the streets of Bravos? They'd want to duel him for the Black Pearl and probably die. Oh, hmm. Was the game you were thinking of the devil? Yes, it was of the devil. Yeah, no, I watched the episode 0 of that. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Let me think about the I mean, the problem with this like theory is that like uh Sam literally gets in trouble for the exact opposite reasons, right? That he's walking around in non-colorful clothes, and someone wants to duel him because he's dressing above his station or something. So Harry Swift is just dressing below his station. So I don't think, it seems odd that you could say like no matter how Harry Swift is dressed, he's going to be fucking challenged by a Bravo. If he's dressed drably, he's going to be challenged by a Bravo. If he's dressed colorfully, he's going to be challenged by a Bravo. You can't have it both ways, you know. Um, so no, I don't think that's going to happen. So just because we already had it once the opposite way, so it's not going to happen, you know. So. All right, thank you guys. I will talk to you guys later. I mean, this week we should see my um going over Jamie. I got to do my taxes, and then try to get the Cersei chapter call out this week. I've been really working on that. I mean, this conversation, like, hopefully at the beginning, like, was helpful, but we'll see how this goes. Do I want a trial by 7? Is that too much? Is a trial by 7 too much? I don't know. Anyway, talk to you guys soon or later.